ex-UNC basketball legend, ex-NBA legend, and current gambling superstar. Knows everything there is about gambling. Follow his picks. Follow what he does. He'll get you some money, hopefully, or at least that's the goal. What's
That's
going
the
on,
goal.
man? That's the
Nothing
goal,
much.
right? Appreciate you
Nothing
jumping on,
much.
brother.
March Madness, lot going on. Purdue's playing right now. I'm gonna be excited to see the score when we get off of here and see what's going on.
What's up with Purdue, man? I try to be invested in college basketball, but our company, we're more of a football company. And whenever football's over, we get a little bit of a break, and then we'll tap back into college basketball like most casuals around March Madness. But I look at the college basketball rankings this year, and I'm just lost. There's so many teams that you don't expect to be good that are up at the top, and trying to fill out a bracket is going to be tough this year. What do you think about what's going on in college basketball?
It's the NIL, it's the transfer portal. I don't think you'll no longer see like the Boeheims and Coach K's and Roy Williams and the Bill Selfs, like the kind of the college basketball gatekeepers with these programs being successful for 20, 30 years, because now you can pay kids and you can transfer and play right away. So it's literally changing the landscape of college basketball. This is why you see a Kansas State with the coach of the year in the Big 12, right? Or you see like a Alabama ranked number 1, or stuff like that. So it's making it more fun per se, but it's definitely changing the game.
So I look at I look at the bracket, right? Or I look at the rankings, and I just think there's teams that I never trust, right? I don't trust Purdue. I don't trust Houston. There's just teams that historically, they're always ranked really high, and you just don't trust them when you're filling out your bracket. And there's nothing, I don't know why, but there's nothing more that I hate about college basketball when Kansas wins the national title.
Right.
Are they just going to win the national title again?
I don't know. They look pretty good, but the way college basketball is going, I'm going to go out on a limb and say it's going to be a team that you probably least expect. It may not be a number 1 line team. Even like a team like UCLA is really good, really consistent. So we'll see.
I watch UCLA. I checked in with UCLA. They've had some of those guys there. I feel like I've been watching them play college basketball for the last 10 years.
Yeah, for sure. They got a guy, Jaime Hawkins. I think he's like a 4th or 5th year guy.
Dude, I swear I've been seeing these guys for years and years and years on my television screen playing for UCLA. It's nuts.
Yep. UCLA's got guys there for a long time. Tiger Campbell, yeah, they definitely got the old heads.
Yeah, I mean, it's got to pay off at some point, right? If they're getting people to actually stick around.
It's the last year they can do it, so we'll see what happens.
We'll see, man. I've been keeping up with college sports since like people have 6 years, 7 years. There's so many people that are so old playing college sports right now.
There's like a 26-year-old on some team. I forget what team. I think it's is it Houston? I think no, Memphis. Memphis has like a 26-year-old kid. So it's interesting.
What do you think when you were playing, if NIL was around, you would have stuck around a couple more years in college?
I stayed 3 years, so I probably would have stayed around regardless. I wish it was around, man. I could have made a lot of money because we were like the number 1 team 2 years running. So like, who knows the opportunities that could have arisen from that. But I also think it was a good thing too. We really didn't have that distraction. I think it's a distraction. I mean, it's fun. You're making money, but it's a distraction. And I'll be honest with you. If I had $400K in my account and you told me to go to practice, I might go a little slower. So I'm glad that didn't happen.
If you have $400K in your bank account and you're going to school at Chapel Hill, where are you going? Where's a couple spots you're going to?
Probably go to this spot. You can go to Sutton's for lunch, man. Get you a nice, Sutton's for lunch. And then,
for love or for lunch?
Yeah, and then going out wise, I mean, there's I don't even know, I haven't been there so long. It's been 10 years, but there's a spot called the Players Club in La Rez, and I mean the money that I think Armando Bacot is approaching like $500,000 in earnings for the season for his NIL deals. So if you do the math, man, that much money in college, as you know, I mean, you living different. I mean, I was living off a scholarship check and like $500 in my bank account, right? Like, so can you imagine like 6-figure NIL deals? I can't fathom it.
I mean, I remember how I used to act when the scholarship money would hit the bank account. I would just act stupid for a weekend, and then I'd be scrapping along again.
100%. Hey, listen, I remember specific times we're looking at my account like, damn, all right, I got 7 days. 7 days. I can make it with 7 days with this. Like, but I think that was the fun of college, man. Like that was fun. I mean, it was those are the times where, college was the best experience for me by far, bar none. I had the most fun. So I think that kind of takes a little bit of experience out.
Was UNC always a choice? What were some other schools you had other options to go into?
Well, I wanted to go to Texas, but me and my dad and woo, sorry. My dad and Rick Barnes got into like a little disagreement. So that was no longer the case. And then, he was like, hey, go to Carolina. Hey, you got to go look at Carolina. I said, all right, I'll go to Carolina. Best thing I ever did. I fit in with the program, the people that were there, the players that were there. So it was an easy choice.
I always think that, like, when I think of college basketball, if you're getting recruited by North Carolina, that just has to be the school, right?
Yeah, I mean, at the time, I was in Austin, Texas at the time. So I was like, I want to go to Texas local school. When I got to Carolina, I was like, okay, I see the appeal. I see what's going on.
Yeah.
And that's how I kind of decided there.
I mean, not to bring up a sore subject, but I mean, what are your thoughts on Carolina? I mean, it has to be one of the bigger
disappointments. NIT bound. Hopefully they take it in the right way. I went to the NIT my freshman year, and it actually changed the complexion of my career, my life, because it was a humbling experience. I worked harder that summer. I played harder than I ever played the next year, and we ended up being number 1 seed in the tournament the next 2 years. So hopefully that program takes it in stride, and those kids do. And it was just a rough year, man. We got hot last year, and I think we kind of rested on our laurels as far as thinking we were just going to be able to do the same thing, and wasn't the case.
So one of the things that, like, our company does, where like I said, man, we've been in business for 25 years, and it's all based off of rivalries. So I just want to show you, pull something up real quick. One of the things that we just dropped, it's actually been, let me see if I can figure this out real quick. Just kind of want to get an instant reaction to this shirt. It's been getting pretty popular. We just posted it today. Just kind of see what you think about it.
Hey, look, man, that's we had our shirt moment last year with Coach K, right? So now they get their revenge. I still think our wins was better. Our wins were better. I mean, Coach K, literally, they have to like block out that last Final Four appearance and the last game at home. They have to like block that out because they didn't win. So
they have to block it out from literally.
I mean, they have to take that off the reel. They have to take that off the highlight reel of Coach K or this Hall of Fame career. They have to just scrub it. So there it is.
Yeah, we got you.
There it is.
We got you.
A tarnished legacy. Yeah, exactly. So I think right now we still got the upper hand, man. Coach K, you see, Coach K has been around, man. He's probably still fuming.
Do you think so? I kind of think. I mean, of course, I didn't play in the rivalry. I'll ask you a little bit more about the rivalry here in a little bit. But when you do what UNC did to Duke last year, and that's how you send off the legend, the coach, like the most historic coach in all of college basketball, to me, that's kind of like rivalry's over.
Yeah, it's a new kind of chapter, right? Got new coaches, Shire, you got Coach Davis. So yeah, that part of the rivalry was put to bed, right? I mean, Coach K's national championship chance, his ACC championship, like that was all put down.
Everything, the home game,
everything. So,
everything.
Yeah,
everything.
It's a new chapter right now. So right now we're down. So we need to pick it up, and it's going to be fun to see the growth of both programs under these new regimes. So I'm excited.
I feel like you're down, but in terms of overall victory, like if at the end of the day you got to pick a winner between UNC and Duke, you can just go back to last year and say there's just no other way to end it.
Right. And there's always going to be that, okay, before Coach K, after Coach K. So during the Coach K era, it was pretty even. I mean, literally, it was even.
Like scores and everything.
Scores, wins, everything. So right now, I think we're down, what, 2-0?
2 games. I think it's 2 games.
We're down 2 games. So we got to get going. We don't need to get down too far because then it's just not – then the allure of the rivalry kind of goes away.
Right. Then you're playing catch up. That's why, I mean, in football, it's like Michigan State and Michigan and Ohio State. Michigan have been losing for so long; they got 2 under their belt. Now it's almost like the rivalry's back.
Exactly. Yeah. For sure. I think what did Ohio State won like 6 straight years or something before like a couple years ago. So
and they were just blowing them out every week, and it was like this isn't even a rivalry anymore. It's not even fun.
Yep.
And then they finally got one.
Hopefully that doesn't happen.
What's it like playing one of those games?
It's fun, man. I actually like playing at Duke's gym. It's like a high school gym, man. It's like small.
Like everyone right on top of you.
Right on top of you. It's kind of like it's a shooter's gym because it's kind of the depth perception stuff's a little different. So I enjoy playing it. I've had some good games and bad games there. My last couple have been we're good. So, I'll take those.
Is there anything in the NBA that can compare to it? Any experience you had in the NBA that can compare to what a UNC team is like?
When I got to Milwaukee, the Chicago Bulls Milwaukee Bucks thing we were on the other end of that rivalry though. The Bucks, they would whoop us up and down the highway.
Was that like D Rose days?
Yeah, the D Rose days, even before D Rose. So even when Jordan was there, people would say like Milwaukee home games would be crowded by Chicago fans. It'd be a Chicago home game. Even when we played them in the playoffs,
that's the worst.
Literally, when it was like a tournament game, when we would score, it'd be loud. When the Bulls would score, it'd be loud. So it was a fun rivalry that we were on the wrong side of per se. So now that the Bucks are who they are now, I always, on a betting standpoint, ride with the Bucks because see, what people don't know is Giannis and Chris and those guys around there. We used to get whooped by the Bulls. We were down back.
They were there.
Yeah. So they have a little extra juice in those games because they know how it used to be. So just a little insight to that. But that's probably the closest I've got to a rivalry. NBA is not really. I mean, Lakers Celtics, I guess, but they only play twice a year. So.
Do you think that there's ever going to be something that comes close? Like in terms of, I always think that in college sports, I mean, in football, you get it a little bit with the NFL because like some teams hate each other. But is there anything like that in the NBA that'll come close to college basketball rivalries or the type of environment? Maybe playoff basketball, but the type of environment that you get on a college campus.
I'm thinking the Grizzlies Warriors is getting a little juicy, right? All the back and forth with Draymond and Dylan Brooks and Josh saying he's good in the West. That's a little chippy little rivalry right there that I can see boiling.
That's good for the league too. You need stuff like that.
And then Clippers Lakers I guess is a little fun, but it doesn't have the juice that I think it should have. But I would say the Warriors Grizzlies is the closest thing you have to like a little rivalry because even that game yesterday I tuned in just to kind of see the energy and it was hot.
Yeah, it kind of seems like in the NBA that things are getting a little bit more chippy, kind of like they used to be back in the day, which I think is fun. I think it's fun for the league because for a long time, there really wasn't a lot of teams that played with that. They didn't have that bite. Like they weren't trying to get in little scrums. They weren't trying to get after each other. But it seems like it's starting to pick back up.
Yeah, and also with as I've played in NBA for a while, once you get the game like 60, 70, you're tired, you're annoyed. You're tired of playing the same guys. You're tired of seeing the same guys. You're traveling. Like it's been a long season. You ain't really got a vacation. So like the chippiness picks up like exponentially in these last weeks and going into the playoffs, as you've seen, obviously.
Yeah. Yeah. People are just getting tired of one another.
You're just tired. Like, man, I'm tired.
To get to the playoffs, right? I can't. Like, why am I still doing this?
Yeah, I've seen you 4 times during the season. Banged up against you 4 times. Then I'm probably going to see you in the play. Like I'm tired of you. So that's what happens.
What's it like traveling in the NBA and the MLS? Like, so at first in the MLS, we were flying commercial. Mm-hmm. So we were flying commercial everywhere we would go. And then, but the good part about that was you would always stay the night. So, you're going to Toronto, you're going to New York, you're going to these different cities. You play the game, you win, you lose. I don't know what your guys' saying is in the NBA, but our saying was you win, you lose, you booze. So yeah. We were going out having a good time in the cities. What's it like traveling in the NBA? I mean, are you guys in and out, or you get to have?
Yeah, it depends on the schedule because you're literally playing every other day, and then you have a couple of days off. So like you might stay. Like you always stay in Miami an extra day or two, New York, and then LA. I don't know if that's kind of the schedule.
That works out well.
Yeah, I don't know if that's scheduled by the NBA because let's be honest, we don't want to stay.
You don't get to stay in Salt Lake an extra night.
Like we go play Minnesota, right? And we got to play Miami the next night. We're like, hey, get showered, let's go. Come on, let's because a 30-minute difference, right? There's a difference between you landing at 12:30 and 1 and between going out and going like chilling. So, especially if you have an off day the next day. So, it depends on the city, but for the most part, the good cities we do stay an extra day. The NBA kind of implements that into the schedule, which I think is nice.
Yeah, it's nice of them.
Yeah.
Like I said, you're not. I lived in Salt Lake, so I feel like I can say this, but you're not staying an extra night in Salt Lake City if you don't have to.
Yeah, no, we're not in like there's some city like we spent a couple of days. I mean, I remember spending a couple of days in Memphis before. I remember we used to always with the Bucks have like a weird 3-day trip in Indiana, which we would just miserable. So sometimes it happens like that.
So I don't want to speak on behalf of the cities that you've played for, but I've heard Milwaukee's pretty fun. I've heard Milwaukee's a good city. I haven't heard great things about Cleveland. And then Detroit, I heard Detroit's like kind of back on the up and up. But just kind of speak on, the cities that you had, and is that what brought you back to Tampa?
Yeah. So initially, when I was in North Carolina, I was like, "Hey, Charlotte's nice. Like, I could live in Charlotte." So draft comes, and they're like, "John Henson, Milwaukee Bucks." I'm like, "Okay, Milwaukee sounds fun." Went up there. I said, "Oh no, I'm gonna be back in Tampa." I specifically remember, never forget it. My first year, end of the rookie year, we had we had just lost to the Heat, actually. So like literally flying back, we were flying back to play them in Milwaukee. And I remember seeing, it was like April, man, like mid-April, and there was like a 20-foot pile of snow, when they shovel the airport runways. And I'm sitting there like,
this ain't it.
April. This is not it. And so that's when I kind of made my way back to Florida. But as far as cities, man, Milwaukee was fun, stayed out of trouble. Cost of living wasn't as expensive as it is now. And you just focus on basketball. So I like that aspect of it. Cleveland probably would have been my favorite city, man, per se, as far as like, it was easy. Everything was downtown, groceries, bars, restaurants. The arena was downtown. So I didn't have to go far. And, for the most part, they have really good restaurants too, like nice, healthy, spots, but like also kind of trendy, like mixy spots that are kind of cool to go to as well. So I like Cleveland.
So what, did you know that you were going to get drafted by Milwaukee, or is that just kind of random?
Yeah. So it was between Sacramento, Detroit, and Milwaukee. Sacramento was like, "We really love you, but we think number 4 is too high, for who you are as a player. We don't want to put that pressure on you," which understandable. I'm glad they didn't. They drafted Thomas Robinson. Then Andre Drummond dropped. So Detroit called me. Detroit said they were going to draft. They called me and said, "Hey, Drummond is dropped. We're going to take him." I said, "Hey, Andre Drummond, as you know who he is, good choice." So then I knew Milwaukee. Was going to. Yeah, for sure. And then I knew Milwaukee at 14. They were like, "If you get to us, we're drafting you, period, point blank." So, we'll see you in Milwaukee. And so once Detroit didn't draft me, I knew I was going 14. And it was the best thing to happen to me in my career, because as an NBA player, you don't want to go to a team that's like, "I guess we have to draft him," or "I guess he's the guy that's left on the board." You want to go to a team that's like, "We want this guy." And so Milwaukee was the team that said they wanted me, and it kind of propelled me to my next contract and within the organization kind of being valued and liked, right? So I'm glad that I dropped to go there.
Yeah, ended up in a good situation.
For sure.
What was it like when Giannis gets there? Do you just know right away that he's going to be a superstar, or was it something that had to
No, you didn't, because you didn't, man. He played in the third league in Greece. So like he had never really played against, high competition, let alone NBA competition. So when he first got in, you could see it. He was very savvy, very smart player, high IQ for a young player, never playing against high level competition. And then his work ethic and his drive just took over. And within about 2 years, he was becoming who he was. And that's a credit to the Milwaukee Bucks organization as well, drafting him, believing in him, developing him, especially under J. Kidd. He deserves some credit for that.
That's something that goes a long way that people don't really talk about, is just the development of a player, right? Because there's so many organizations that can get it wrong, and that's all sports across the board.
Yep.
Like you could draft a guy, and if he's not developed right, everyone's like, "Oh, that guy's a bust," but no one ever points the finger at the organization and says, "Well, what were you doing with him?"
And like you're in soccer, and I'm sure it's the same way. There are people that could play for the highest level team walking the street. Right, 100%. Like it's so many good players out there. It's
call a buddy that you used to play with and say, "I think you could be here."
It's a numbers game. You know what I'm saying? So sometimes the numbers crunch and you don't get that opportunity, or your bad injury or a bad break, or coach may not like you, or organization may not feel like you're part of their future. And so I always say, like, I'm lucky. Timing and everything was perfect for me, because I guarantee you there's 2 or 3 other John Hensons out there that are looking for the opportunity to be playing in Europe or not even playing. So that's the nature of the beast in sports, man. Got to be there at the right place at the right time. If you're not one of those LeBron type guys who you could place him in Antarctica, right, and he could win a championship. So most guys aren't like that.
That's something that I think that, I don't know about you, but like I do a lot of stuff with youth soccer around here, or just talking to people about different experiences and whatnot. But that's just something that I don't think people really understand is like so much of this is timing. So much of it's timing, so much of it's luck. Like, do you have a good game when the right person's in town? Do you know that this person's at the game? It's so much of it is just timing and luck that people don't want to believe that when you say, you're working hard, you're doing all this hard work, and that's great. But you got to get a little lucky.
I got 2 breaks in my career. First break my freshman year, I was not playing. Ed Davis breaks his wrist, and I have to play. End up playing really well, and solidifying my position on the team as a starter for the next 2 years. I get drafted NBA.
As a freshman, that's huge.
Yeah, that's huge. Like if he does not get hurt next season, they're like, "What is John Henson? Who is he? What's he doing?" It's an uncertainty. But that summer, I was like, all right, cool. I'm penciled in. I'm going to be a starter. Now I can focus on developing. NBA playoffs, we played the Bulls. They had Joakim Noah, Paul Gasol. Yeah.
Okay.
You see that picture back? You see that picture behind me, right?
Okay. Yep. That's it.
So, and they had Taj Gibson down there. We had Zaza Pachulia as a starter. I was playing behind him. Bad matchup for him. Long, athletic guys. I had to play 30 plus minutes for us to have a chance. I played really well. Flipped that into an extension over the summer because I played so well and they thought so much of me. So those are 2 opportunities.
Is that a contract year?
Yeah, it wasn't contract year, but it's an extension year. So the year before my contract.
Big timing thing.
So timing. Also, the NBA was increasing their salary cap because of the new TV deal, so they had to pay people to get to the salary cap floor. So like literally, it was just perfect timing, God's plan, because it could have went the other way had we played another team in the playoffs, had Ed Davis doesn't break his wrist. So like that's the nature of the beast in this thing, man. And so I'm thankful every day, man, that I had the opportunity to be there and play so long.
And that's the crazy thing too. It's you get a chance by an injury, right? That's you don't wish that on people, but at the same time, you're sitting there and you're like, ooh, this is good for me. Bad, you don't want to think that way, but it's like just kind of the nature of the beast.
Yep.
What was it like? What's it like in the playoffs in the NBA?
It's intense. You get a booklet about this big, and it's your job. You're a professional. You need to know the tendencies. You need to know their plays, what they're doing, what they're running, watching. Now, it used to be a book like this. Now it's an iPad. But, it's kind of funny. Like, I'm not that old, but I literally saw the transition from, like, old school to, like, new technology over my like, from 2012 to 2022. Like, it was a crazy transition. But
it's like a different league. It's probably a different league.
Different league. I mean, even sports science and stuff. Like we actually followed the blueprint. Soccer was the first sport to kind of do the sports science and all that good stuff. So the NBA kind of took away from the soccer, kind of how they do their stuff with the chips and all that. We took away that from soccer. But
I want to apologize. I want to apologize then to the basketball fans that are like tired of guys getting rest games and things like that. Because if you took it from soccer, then I guess that's all.
Yeah, like we just took the tracking of just the tracking how they track you guys just from running and all that stuff, and so we had these towards the end of my career we had these things every day. We had to fill out on the iPad like, how do you feel today? Did you sleep well? You had anxiety, like what's going on with you today? Like, and if you put the wrong answers, they pull it off. It's like, hey man, why don't you just go home, man, take a rest? Like, right. So but I like that though, man. That's important. But yeah, the playoffs, it's intense. It's tough. The level of play goes up, the physicality goes up, but it's kind of what you play for the whole year, man. So the playoffs are probably the most fun times because you get to go back to the hotel or rest. You don't have to travel every day. So I enjoyed it.
I got a couple more NBA questions because I'm the same thing. Like I'm an Orlando Magic fan and they haven't been good. Yeah. I think the last Orlando Magic game I went to was when they were in the finals and they haven't been good since then. So I'm checking in with the NBA as best I can.
Yeah.
But NBA contracts. They are insane.
Yeah.
Are they ever coming back down, or is it just the league? The players have control over the bargaining agreements, and there's just nothing there to do.
The year I signed my extension was 2015, I think. So what happened was the TV deal went from $1 billion to 2.5, which means the money went up insurmountably. So as a player,
there's guys I've never heard of signing some of the biggest contracts I've ever seen.
I mean, I saw something saying that, so I guess the top 10 baseball players earners would be mid 20s and 30s in the NBA, which is nuts. But but we decided not to do a cap smoothing. So instead of cap smoothing, we increased the salary cap right away. And they also said it's going to increase the haves and the have-nots, right? So it's going to go from so max players get like 35 to 40% of the cap. So if the cap's 120 million, they get 50 million, right? So, we were warned, but everybody's like money, 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 which I was the same way. Money, I don't care. They could take 50 million. I know what I'm going to get. And so now you have, guys like Lillard and LeBron's and the Giannis making 50 million a year, which, I can't say I'm upset at, because they are the face of the franchise and they do carry the load of the franchise on their back. But it kind of sucks for those middle of the road guys, even guys like myself, to where, I have a vet minimum. My vet minimum would have been like for a year 9 would have been like almost close to 3 million. Where if you go get a kid that's played under 4 years, it'd have been 1 million, which 1 million matters in the scheme of the cap when you're paying someone 50 million, when you're paying your top 3 players $80 million.
You also have to find the franchise that wants the veteran over the cheaper rookie.
100%. So now these end of the bench spots or these backup spots are to younger guys, two-way guys, and guys that they don't have to pay, or guys that they can release, with unguaranteed deals. As an 8 or 9 year vet, I'm not taking an unguaranteed deal, right? Like, what's the point of that? So that's the nature of the beast. It's great if you're LeBron. It's great if you're also a starter in the NBA, but kind of the guys that the worker bees, I call them, the bench players, the role players, the guys that get traded and go to different teams, it could get tricky, especially as you get older, because you demand more money. So that's just the nature of the beast of this sport, man. Not complaining at all. I live a good life. I've lived a good life, so not complaining, but it's unfortunate, man, especially for the new kind of generation coming in.
Yeah, of course. I mean, it's one of the things in sports in general I also don't think people understand is, you have a guy that's put in 9-10 years of service. They deserve to be compensated for that service. Mm-hmm. But if you're not one of the top guys, an organization is quick to be like, well, I could just get a rookie to come in here and probably do half his work for a quarter of the price. So they had to weigh out those options. And then, the guy that's put in all the years of service kind of gets weeded out, which is unfortunate.
Yeah, it's like I can give this, do I give this vet $2.8 million minimum deal because he's 9 years in? Or do I go and get this guy that's serviceable, give him an unguaranteed deal for 1.5? So if we don't like him, we get rid of him and go from there. And I can't say they're wrong. If I own the team, I'd do the same thing. I'm like, hey, let's see what this young guy can do, because we got to pay this old guy twice as much. So
what is that? I saw you retired after 2020 season.
Mm-hmm.
Was that part of it? Or, I mean, for me,
a little bit. I had opportunity.
I hated the bubble. I hated the MLS bubble, and it drove me nuts.
So like the bubble, it's so funny. Like, I was actually talking to a former player, and he was like, man, there needs to be a documentary on the bubbles, because so many guys that were in contract years did not get another deal, especially so in the NBA, if you didn't go to the bubble, if you were the bottom 4 teams on each half of the
people weren't even invited to the bubble.
Right. So I didn't get invited to the bubble. So check this out. Season ends in April. The bubble season stops in April. The bubble doesn't start till like late October, November-ish, right? Something crazy like that, whatever. So I don't play for 7-8 months. Got to wait all the way to the new year. So I didn't play for a year and a half almost. And that hurt me in contract negotiations, where they're like, well, we want this guy that played in the bubble that actually played 6 months ago.
Rather than it's not my fault. I wasn't invited.
Yeah, exactly. So a lot of guys got kind of screwed over for that, man. And, I was unfortunate enough to be in that, demographic. But, I had an opportunity with the Knicks. I ended up straining my calf on a 10-day, and that was kind of all she wrote, for my career. I mean, I could have done the G League thing and all that, but decided to go to Puerto Rico for a little bit, played there, and now I'm doing sports media. And I'm just blessed to be able to walk away from the game and kind of, be able to, put my hat down and say I did what I did, and go from there.
Yeah, of course. What's I mean, if you could play for, you said the Knicks, right? If you could play for if you had the opportunity to go back, like 10-day contract, any organization, where you going?
I've never lived on the West Coast, been on the West Coast. So anywhere on the West Coast, I love Phoenix. Even like
We could use
Portland,
some,
man.
right? Kevin Durant just got hurt for
Yeah, like
a
I
week.
love Phoenix. I love Portland. Like I like like I like different places that are different culturally and demographically, from the East Coast. And so like anywhere out west would have been kind of fun to see, and just live out there, be on a different type of time. So never got a chance to. I did the Midwest Gauntlet.
Yeah. Well, listen, I see the soccer ball behind you. So if you ever want to go out to Portland, we'll go out to Portland, have a good time, go check out a soccer game, see what that's like.
Look, you're talking. I will fly out there. There's a little food spot. I forget it's called. I think it's called Canary or something that I really like, and we can hang out, man. I heard it's rocking out there too at the soccer games as well too. So
Oh, it's nuts, man. It's a scene. It's a scene.
yeah, if
Are
you
you a
go out
soccer
there,
fan?
man, let me know.
Yeah, of course, bro. We got to link
Yeah.
up. What is the soccer ball behind your head?
It's the Off-White collab they did with like a soccer. They did like a little collab. So it's kind of a cool kind of centerpiece, man. Piece for the show. I got the soccer, I got the basketball, I got the football. So
Yeah,
got
rounds
all
it out
sports.
nicely.
Yes, sir.
Is that Bucks helmet autograph?
Nah, that's the Amazon edition.
Man, we gotta get you. We gotta get you something official, man. You're a Tampa legend.
Yeah,
We
no,
gotta
I
get you
do know
something
a couple
official.
players. I should try to get an autograph helmet. Maybe I'll get one this year, man. I know a couple guys on the team, so maybe someone will look out for me.
Do you rep the Tampa teams?
Yeah, for sure. We're in the community. You see them a lot. They're around. They do stuff for the community. So I root for them just kind of naturally to play well, man. Because as you know, when the sports teams are doing well in the city, it's just a better environment, better place, more money, everything. So
Of course, man. I mean, I moved down here. I came down here. I was still playing in 2020, living out in Portland. Came
mhm.
back for the Super Bowl year. My family's down here, so we always used to do Christmas down here in the off season. I'm all jacked up on the Super Bowl. We're Super Bowl morning. We're coming to look at
Yep.
houses. My wife and I are looking at houses. I'm all jacked up on Super Bowl juice, wearing my Tom Brady jersey. We just bought
Yep.
tickets to the game. And I'm like, we got to move back to Tampa as fast as
Yeah.
we can. They
So
went.
how did you like Portland, man? Like Portland's one of my favorite cities, but I like, I like chilling in the house. I like cloudy, rainy days. I like taking naps and watching movies. So like, I don't know,
You love
like I'm
Portland.
curious.
Portland's perfect for you.
Yes, that's what I'm saying. But like, people are like, well, it's fun until it's every day, right? So I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it could get so the weather. I mean, I missed a lot of the weather because the way that we would do the off seasons, we would always fly back to Tampa right when the season ended. Didn't matter if it was
Mhm.
October, first round of the playoffs, make the finals, whatever. We would always fly right back to Tampa. So I missed a lot of the dark, cold, rainy times. But there were times when you're there for like a month stretch where you don't see the sun, and that's tough. It could get
Mhm,
pretty
for sure.
depressing, and you're just kind of like, man, another day where the night feels like the day feels like the night. But then it's the craziest thing because you know how it is in Florida. People are out all the time, right?
Yep.
You can walk the streets at all times. There's people always out.
Mhm.
But in Portland and in Oregon, just in general, there will be nobody out, right? You'll go to a restaurant, you have your raincoats on, umbrella, whatever. Well, umbrella. I had an umbrella, but they say you're
Mhm.
not supposed to have an umbrella if you're a Portlander because you just like
It's
absorb the
just
rain.
you'll have to have it like on your back, like
Right,
every day.
exactly. You're like born with a natural umbrella or something.
Yeah.
But so, you go out and you barely see anybody, you get to the restaurants. But then once the summer hits, the streets are just flooded. Like
Yeah, that's how Milwaukee is.
it's just like a mass of people coming together and being like they haven't seen sun for, 5 months and everyone just kind of goes a little bit buck wild because you got the wineries, you got the beach, you got lakes, you got a bunch of different things going on. And on any given weekend, there's just people doing everything and they all get that in the next 4 months and then they go back to their homes.
That's how Milwaukee was, man. It was so cold, cloudy. Milwaukee, and I think even Cleveland. I think Milwaukee and Cleveland are like two of the cloudiest cities on the East Coast.
It's
From
tough, man. Like I like the
Yeah,
sun. I got to be in the sun.
but the summers, Milwaukee had festivals every weekend, all types of carnivals. The beat, like the boardwalk by the water was packed, flying kites. Like the summers were amazing, but you only got 2 months, so like people like will go nuts, and then
Right.
they go back to
Lose
this
their
house.
minds.
Yep, yep.
That's my theory about Florida, and I mean, I've only been back down here for like a year, but I mean, I
Mhm.
grew up here, so I know
Yeah.
Florida, but there's something going on every weekend. Like you get the 2 months, you get the 2, 3 months in these other cities where people are very excited and, it's 2 or 3 months of going hard and having a great time. And down here, it's no wonder there's so many crazy stories coming out because it's literally every weekend there's something going on.
Something going on, and my dad, he used to say, man, look, you can't pay for quality of life, and I think that's the biggest thing in Florida. Like I can go outside, walk around. We could go right now. You can go get lunch by the water, get some drinks, man. Have a great lunch, and hey, look, we may be having a rough day, but I promise you, you'll feel a little better, right? Like
Right.
I think that's a good thing about Florida, man. And why I love that's why I work back and forth from New York. They're like, why don't you live up there? I'm like, nah,
I'm good. I'm good.
I'll take a plane back down here. I'll sacrifice that travel because when you wake up in the morning, man, I'm a fisherman too, so. I love fishing, so I got to be down here, man.
Yeah, of course. I just caught my first fish, man. I think I've been fishing out here for the last 5 years. I think I just caught my first real fish in 5 years of trying.
Really?
Yeah, it's been a
I
long
I
time.
live on the lake, man, and I used to like catch them all the time, but I think Mother Nature's punishing me. I had this big brush pile, like tree growing into the water, but it was kind of blocking my view. And like an American does, I kind of like trimmed the brush pile and it took away the cover of the fish, I'm assuming, because now I can't catch anything. I mean, literally zero. I haven't caught anything in a year. So that's what I get. You know what I
Right?
mean?
Yeah, you mess with nature, nature messes back.
100%. 100%.
What you have some cool stuff going on down here, right? Did I see you just opened up a bar?
Yeah, so I'm a part of this bar. It's called 511. It's like a cocktail bar, restaurant. They got good cheese boards,
Right.
nice espresso
Nice
martinis,
charcuterie board.
charcuterie board, and so like
Nice.
yeah, it's just a little like local kind of investment, man. They actually opened up 10% for local investors, so I grabbed a little piece of that, and it's a good spot. They have one in West Palm. They got a couple in New York, so it's a good company, man. That I'm excited to be a part of.
Where's it at?
It's from Franklin, so 511 Franklin is the address, so they named the address. So
Okay.
it's right downtown. So
Easy.
yep.
You guys like put on like solid nights too, right? Like clear everything
Yeah,
out. I think I was there.
yeah,
I think I actually was there 2 weeks ago.
yeah. It's a good it's 23 and up too, so it's a little bit of an older crowd. They're open, consistently, which is a hard thing to find in Tampa, like 6-7 days a week. On weekdays until 12. Like so, you can always go in there, grab a drink, get something to eat, and watch a game, or just chill. Which there's not a lot of places in Tampa you can do that on a consistent basis and just sit back and vibe.
It's growing, man. It's crazy how much Tampa's growing.
Right,
You got anything
right.
else? You got anything else going on down here you want to shout out real quick?
Nothing much, man. I'm just just living life, man, and enjoying the weather. It's beautiful. This is the best time of the year, honestly. So I'm enjoying it.
Nice, dude. Where can people watch your sports bets?
Twitter. I'm on Twitter a lot. MSG Networks. It's on DirecTV Stream, Fubo TV, live 5:30 on weekdays. I'm on there sometimes. I do Knicks games as well. So just kind of follow me on social media at John Henson 31 on Twitter and Instagram, and you can kind of see where when I'm on and update on everything. So
All right, so I got a couple more questions, a little like rapid fire.
for sure.
All right, Giannis. Anything funny? Rookie year? Anything jump out at you?
I
You
would
know any
say
English?
him learning how to drive, man. He was a crazy driver. I used to get caught behind him in the arena, going from the arena to the airport when we'd have to travel after games, and I could tell that he was definitely not taught to drive in America. So he's gotten a lot better. So I would say that that's a funny story, kind of off the top of my head that I can remember.
And then, all right, so we're recording this on Friday.
Yeah.
I'll probably put it out sometime next week before the tournament. Guesses for who's going to be the conference championships. Let's go ACC.
ACC, let's go. Whew, I told someone earlier they had a call today. Let's go Miami. It's going to either be Miami or Duke, but I'm going to go Miami.
Yeah, you can't say Duke. What about Big Ten?
Big Ten, let's go. I'm going to go with Illinois.
Ooh. How's Indiana this year? Are they for real?
Indiana they're inconsistent, but they have the high. I think they have the highest ceiling of any Big Ten team. They're also a sleeper on that Big Ten tournament, but their inconsistency, I don't know. I wouldn't pick them.
Are you trusting anyone in the Big Ten to win the title?
Actually, I take that back.
It be Purdue?
I'm gonna backpedal. Penn State beat Illinois last night. I forgot, so
Ooh.
I'm already done with that one. What was the next question?
We'll edit that one out.
Yeah, we'll go Indiana. Let's just go Indiana.
Indiana. All right. Yeah. All right. We'll clip that in.
Yeah.
What about the SEC?
SEC, I like See, the thing is, you'd have asked me this like at the end of the day today. I could have really give you some information, but let's go Alabama.
Alabama. All right. That's a crazy. I mean, we don't got to dive into it, but what's going on in Alabama is nuts.
Yeah, it's just a wild. I mean, ESPN came off that big article yesterday. I don't know if you read it, man.
Oh, I gotta check it out.
It's man,
It's something, huh? Check it out.
so unpreventable, man. But when you're dealing with kids and liquor and guns, man, that's what happens, man. So
Yeah,
it's unfortunate. It's unfortunate, man.
yeah, of course, all around.
Mm-hmm.
All right, so then last one I think is Big 12. Who we got? Big 12. I'm just gonna assume Kansas because they always win.
Yeah, Big 12. Let's go. Let's go Kansas. I guess we go Kansas. It's tough for me to pick number one seeds because they're already like locked in the tournament, so I don't feel like they have much motivation. But I go Kansas or Texas. We'll go Kansas.
Is there motivation? I mean, you've been there. Is there motivation in these conference tournaments? If you're the one seed, if you know you're locked into the tournament,
It depends on the staff. It depends on the staff. When I was there, Coach Williams wasn't a big ACC tournament guy, so we weren't really pressured to like really play well, and that reflected in us always losing. But I think
it's usually how that works.
Yeah. So, but I think in Kansas, there's an emphasis on winning the Big 12 tournament. Like, I think that's what Self wants them to do. So I like them to, if the coach is motivated and you're a top seed, it could be a good ride.
That's interesting. He didn't want to win the ACC.
He just thought it was pointless. We won the regular season. People could get hurt. He just wasn't a fan of it, which rightfully so. The kid from UVA, he broke his hand. He was like their starting 4 or 5. So like that hurts them.
Right, of course.
So that could happen.
Right. And there's teams that go for national titles and then there's teams that go for conference championships, right?
Yeah, 100%. It's a banner. It's a banner. So if you're one of those teams that has a chance, like a Miami, they won the regular season, and or even like a Duke who they're playing really well and they didn't win the regular season, getting a banner this year is a big deal.
Yeah, big deal, huge deal. Anytime you can raise a banner anywhere, right?
For sure.
All right, so last one. Sorry, I keep saying that, but now I just keep thinking of more questions. Now I just keep thinking of more questions. All right, give me. I need 5 teams that could win this thing. If I'm betting 5 teams, like
I got my handy dandy
right? Averaging
on my college basketball show. I got my bracket right here. So
there it is.
Let's go Alabama. Let's go Alabama, Houston, UCLA, and I'm going to go dark horse UConn. Oh, you want one more? You want one more? Let's go. I really don't want to choose them. Let's go. I said Kansas. I didn't say Kansas, did I?
No.
Okay, let's go Kansas. Yeah, Kansas,
right.
Kansas, Houston, Alabama, Purdue, and UCLA.
All right, fair enough. You think? Cool. What about Gonzaga? I feel like this could be a sneaky Gonzaga year.
So a lot of people are saying that because every time we believe in Gonzaga, including myself, they like fail us. So maybe this year, I think they're on the 2 or 3 line. So maybe this year they'll kind of hold it together. They're going to be there towards the end. I think they'll make the Sweet 16, but I don't know if they have their guards. They got young guards, so we don't know how they're going to fare in that tournament, man. It'll be their first time.
You have any good, like betting strategies, whether it's all right, if a 15's playing a 2, I'm going to hammer the 15 seed to cover because the spreads will be ridiculous. But, the disparity in college basketball is a little bit, it's more spread out. At least it seems like there's a lot more upsets going on every year.
I think you get the 5-12 seeds, right? Every year, a 12 upsets a 5 every single year for like the last 20 years.
Now so that's going to happen. 3 12s are upsetting 5s every year.
Yeah, so like that's one game to look at as far as a value for upsets. And then you got your 8-9s. Your 8-9s is going to be like a NC State versus Michigan State or like a Arkansas versus New Mexico. So like those are fun games to kind of watch because like if NC State plays Michigan State, I think Michigan State can handle NC State pretty well, right? Like, or if a USC plays a FAU, I think USC beats FAU, even though FAU is probably going to be coming in as a higher seed. So those are fun games to watch as well. And then, the 116, 215s, play at your own risk. That's literally play at your own risk. I don't.
You have nothing to win. You have nothing to win.
You have nothing. I mean, unless the spread's like 27, like you still might not have a chance.
Right. Oh, that's good. All right, fair enough. What so if I'm betting, pretty much every game, are you gonna try to favor? Like, is there a team that is a top dog that you think is the most like susceptible to an upset, or is that something that you just think you got to base off of matchups? Like, there's got to be teams out there who are top teams that are ranked high, but you just don't believe in
There's definitely Purdue is one, even though I took them today. Purdue is a team that's upset prone. Arizona as well. They're going to be probably a top 3 seed, but they're very shaky. Even a team like Virginia, who's probably going to end up in the ACC championship, maybe win it. They play at a slow pace. So what happens with them is like if a team comes out and blitzes them and gets up 10, 15 points, like this, impossible for them to come back because they don't play that type of game.
Yeah, that's what happened when they lost to UMBC.
Exactly. So, those slow paced teams that lock down defensively, like those are teams to watch that could be upset because if a team comes out and jumps on them, it could get scary.
So you were the ACC Defensive Player of the Year, right?
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Yep.
Do you want to play for a team that's playing like that, or do you like a team that's kind of like fast paced offense?
Well, like we were both. So like we ran up and down the court, and we had a lot of possessions. Like our
lockdown defense.
Yeah. So like our philosophy, Coach Williams, like I recruit all these 5-star guys, potential pros. You always want to score, right? Well, we got to run, so we got to have more possession, so everybody can score. So we bought into that pretty well, and the style of play that Carolina was a run and gun and the defend was probably that's like an Alabama or a Houston.
Okay.
Those are the most fun systems to play in, man, because there's a lot of points scored, and also you're locking down defensively, so it gets fun.
Yeah. What's Roy Williams? What's he like? A good mentor? Just all time?
Good. It's all timer, man. He helped me grow up as a man, young man at the time, and treated his players, the best way he could as far under the rules of the NCAA, and was a great motivator. So he's one of those guys that I kind of put in my life as like, he just kind of changed the complexion of how I see things and the trajectory of my life by just being around such a great human being, a great coach, a great mentor. So forever grateful for my kind of experience and my time with him.
That's cool, man. Especially because you might have ended up in Texas. You might have ended up somewhere else. You end up with a legend,
For sure.
That's cool, brother. Well, I appreciate the time, man.
Thanks you, man. Appreciate
jumping on.
Yes, sir.
Dude.
Thank you.
Yes, man. Follow the picks, follow the brackets, Smack
yes,
fam.
Sir.
This is John. Hopefully we can get him back on, talk a little bit more Smack, a little bit more Tampa, and have some fun.
Let's do it, man. Thank you, man.
All right, brother.
Yes, sir.